Hey there, this is Angelo. Thank you for tuning in to my video about how to get off of benzodiazepines. Now, as a disclaimer before I start, I'm going to say I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. This is just some ways that have worked for me as someone who was taking 2 milligrams of Ativan. I was on a day, and I was taking Klonopin before that. Been on a lot of different anti-anxiety medications. It started for me back, you might have seen my video that I posted before about a year ago in December of 2019, about my story. I'm a brain tumor survivor. I've been taking a lot of anti-epileptic medications and having a lot of seizures. So in order to combat the onset of seizures, which made me very anxious, it's tied to the central nervous system, I would take benzodiazepines. At first it started with like a half milligram at night to help me sleep because I would have seizures going in and out of sleep. And then it turned into just popping Ativan throughout the day. And then I was up to about 2 milligrams a day of Ativan at the worst, and I felt hopeless. I had suicidal thoughts, I had depression, I had all kinds of health issues as well, kidney issues, gut issues, digestive issues, even respiratory issues. So how does one go about getting off of benzodiazepines? Well, if you're one of those people out there that's desperate and maybe found me because you're looking everywhere you can to find some sort of way to get yourself off because you know what a nightmare it is. If you're like me, you know these things are like total hell, and it feels hopeless at times and you just don't know what to do, so you just keep taking them, and it's a cycle of anxiety. It creates the anxiety it was designed to solve. So first of all, I feel for you and I know where you're at in some regard, and I'll just say right up front that everyone's different. Everyone has a different amount of willingness or drive to achieve their goal. For me, I was at this really low place in my life, and I was slowly chipping away. You can't stop, you have to keep chipping away, or some people say cutting. But a lot of it, above everything else, is mindset and heart set. Believe it or not, we'll get into like the science of it all, but really what it all boils down to is how bad do you want to get off of it? Because you're on a mental roller coaster ride, an emotional, psychological roller coaster ride with this, a physiological roller coaster ride with this, and this is, it's torture. It's torture, it really is, and you don't know what else to do. I know the feeling. But I've laid out some of this in my previous video, but I'll go over it again because here I am another year out and my life is even better. I've been off of benzodiazepines for well over a year, almost 2 years. Actually, last December, I had 2 grand mal seizures. Hadn't had in a long time. I was under a lot of stress. My circadian rhythm was all screwed up. I was moving. I had a big trip planned. And it was the holiday season last year. And so all this culminated into a lot of stress. Stress is anxiety. And I had a couple grand mal seizures, the first time that had happened to me in about 5 years since my diagnosis with epilepsy was in 2013, and I had some grand mal seizures early on, and then was pretty much highly medicated on several anti-epileptic medications, which are also prescribed to people with psychosis. So very powerful medications that mess with people's hormonal balance in their brain, their endocrine system, and on top of that, the benzodiazepines. So tapering was involved. Obviously, it's never a good idea to go cold turkey off of anything because there are physiological implications that can be quite dangerous. That said, where do you start? Well, the best place to start is get yourself a notebook and dedicate that to your mission. This is your mission. This is your goal. This is your focus. You're locked in on getting off of this shit, right? This is what you're going to do because your life is important and you're worth it. You don't want to live this way anymore. And you're not going to. Believe that you're not going to. And this book right here, it might take 2 of these to fill these up. Composition, notebook, whatever it takes. Dedicated just to what you're doing. And every day, without fail, day of the week, date, what are you taking, your dosage of what medication, how do you feel, what are your anxiety symptoms. You don't have to write a lot, just every day a line in that book. For me it was seizures, it was like the amount of meds I was taking. If you're focused on your goal every day, no one's going to stop you from achieving it. It's just a matter of time before you hit it. That being said, if you fall off and you miss some days, that's okay. But get into the rhythm every day of making this a part of your daily practice. Having positive habits that will replace these negative habits in your life. And these negative habits for a lot of us is what's led us to taking these medications in the first place, which was an easier solution than actually doing the deep work that we could have done to get through this without it. A lot of us didn't know any better because we were placed on these medications by doctors that told us this is what we should do. We followed and it spiraled out of control. But that's behind us now. Now we're moving forward. So how do we move forward? Well, first of all, again, always consult with your personal health care provider. For me, that is myself. I know I've taken a lot of I've talked to a lot of doctors, nurses, people who have been in the trenches, people who have lived it, and just studied all of them. Bruce Lee says, study all of the masters and take what works for you and make your own mastery of that. So that's the same thing I would say with this. You can listen to a doctor who's never been on your journey, who's never taken these pills, only written prescriptions for them, and they're not going to know what you're going through. You are the only one that's going to know what you're going through. Even me, I don't really know what you're going through. I'm just here to offer my story as a means to help you, and I hope this can help you. I trust it can. So, what else can you do besides having that journal that you write in? I have another journal. I have 2 journals. I have another one of these that's just for gratitude. I write down every day. I start off 3 things every day that I'm grateful for. Every day. Believe it or not, this might sound hokey. This might sound woo-woo. This really works. Keeping an account of all the things in your life that you're grateful for will take you out of being a victim. Having a victim mindset is what leads us into surrendering to things that do not serve us. So believe it or not, in time, if you create a pattern of positive reinforcements, being of service to other people, having gratitude, and you account for that, that's a huge step. Like I said before, a lot of it's mindset and heart set, and a lot of this stuff might seem overwhelming that I'm about to go into, and that's okay. When you start any major journey, this is a major journey. This is not a walk in the park. This is going to be difficult, but you can do it and you will do it if you put in the work. I put in the work and I made it happen. And I never thought I would. Well, I didn't think I would, but there's a voice in the head that's always like the little devil on the shoulder saying, you're never going to get off this stuff. You're in this forever. It's like you're in hell. I feel you. It's possible. Benzodiazepines affect your GABA receptors in your brain. That's your gamma alpha butyric acid receptors. This little GABA, you probably know this if you've done some research online, it excretes that little GABA juice into your brain, which relaxes your body. What it does though, when you over-releasing this with these benzodiazepines, you can't become calmed without it. So it's like any addict, junkie, whatever, the brain needs more and more. You can become addicted to food, you can become addicted to sex, you can become addicted to even exercise and other things that seem healthy because of different chemicals and hormones in the brain that are excreted, like dopamine, like serotonin. all kinds of stuff. So some other things that you can really focus on that are going to really help you. These are important, so I hope that you pay attention to what I'm telling you right now. And these are the pillars of your health. These are very important. Do you have a practice each day before bed and first thing in the morning when you get up, to where you're sitting still and calming your mind, calming your heart, sitting quiet with yourself? Thoughts come. This is meditation. Sounds really hokey to a lot of people. Believe me, I know. But when you sit quiet with yourself, and it gets easier with repetition. Everything is like working a muscle. It's like practice. Once you do something for, I believe there was a University of London study that said if you do anything for 66 consecutive days, it'll become, solidified as a habit. Sometimes it can happen a lot quicker. Like I tried to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I started the first day. I was like, I'm going to do it. And I did it. And the next day I did it. And then finally it's hard. I'm like, I don't want to do it. But you just keep pushing. And eventually you wake up without an alarm clock. That it's like anything. Your body is on it's on a circadian rhythm. And I'll talk a little bit about this. This has to do with this meditation. When your brain is just waking up or ready to go to sleep, the frequency of your brain waves is different. It's in between when you're fully awake, you're in an alpha state, and you're in beta, and when you're about to fall asleep or you're waking up, you're in a theta state. And there's other ones too. You can look all this up. When you're in theta state, this is where hypnotherapists want to get the mind, because you're most suggestible in this state. So your subconscious brain typically controls about 95% of what you do throughout the course of a day. You don't really think about things. You do the same thing every day, relatively. You get up on the same side of the bed. You do this. You have the same thoughts when you wake up. I studied the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza. I really recommend his guided meditations. Maybe he's not for you. If you listen to him and you're not a fan, then there's other people out there. But I went to see him in Bogota, and really doing his guided meditations helped me a lot. There's other people out there that can really help you. I would study things like the law of attraction, anything that have to do with manifestation. There's a lot of resources out there. Just keep scouring books in the internet to find anybody out there that can help you with that. There's a lot of great resources on the internet. And audiobooks as well. The circadian rhythm, what I talked about just a moment ago, or circadian biology, it takes into account your diet, your sleep patterns, how we relate to the rising and setting of the sun. So if you're a person that's up late at night and you're on your computer or you're in front of a television, that's going to create a lot of noise within your central nervous system. Your eyes and your skin, they take in radiation from the sun, light from the sun, and when we wake up in the morning, it affects our pineal gland in our brain, and that creates serotonin, which is the feel-good hormone usually in our brain. We come to life in the morning. Once we're up for a minute, eventually you're up and you're feeling it and you're going. Medicated, maybe not so much, but the same gland in your brain, your pineal gland, also creates melatonin at night. So it creates these two hormones, one to downregulate, one to upregulate for sleep and for awakening. And getting into a constant rhythm of sleep, going to bed at the same time, having what we call good sleep hygiene, going to sleep at the same time, waking up at the same time most days. I mean, obviously there's going to be days where you can't control it because you have a busy life or something else comes up. But really, I think most optimal, and people are different, but what was most optimal for me was getting up sometime around 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. You can go earlier, and getting your head on the pillow by like 9:30, 10 at night, the latest, and getting a solid 8 hours of sleep a night. I know it sounds like a lot, but a third of our a third of our life we should be sleeping, and it adds up, it compounds if we're not sleeping a lot. So I know for me, taking benzodiazepines had a stimulating effect on me. When I would first take them, I would kind of feel like I'm up, and I know there's people abuse them. They take like Xanax or other benzos, and Ativan, and they get high off of it. And it's a drug that people use recreationally, and it just blows my mind that people would do that. But that's the way drugs work. They affect the brain. They create altered states of consciousness. They have psychoactive effects. So other things that I would do, the sleep hygiene is much important. I got an eye mask, and I sleep to block out light. If you can get a room that's as black as you can get it, sleep in a dark room. Make sure the air you're breathing is good. Make sure the water you're drinking is purified. If you don't have access to mineral spring water, reverse osmosis distilled water, add some minerals to it. Your body's made up of 75-80% water. Your brain is made up of 90% water. You want to put in optimal water into your body. Clean air, obviously, and organic food. Now, a lot of people get stuck here and they feel overwhelmed when they hear what I'm going to tell you. But if you're not eating organic food, then you're doing yourself a huge disservice. And people will argue, well, the money. I'm sorry, but if you're not eating organic or farm fresh or from a farmer's market or growing your own without pesticides, chemicals, you're taking a huge risk, because a majority of the agriculture in America that's conventionally grown is full of contaminants, especially a chemical called glyphosate. And glyphosate's the desiccant weed killer found in Roundup, which is everywhere now in our environment. It's been sprayed since the 80s. So even if you're eating organic, you likely have been exposed to it through your skin. And that's why I would highly recommend getting a water filter for your shower, because your shower is going to expose you to whatever is in the city tap supply. We're talking about things like fluoride, chlorine, chloramide, bromine. All this stuff is coming out of your tap from your pipes. Who knows what's in the pipes? And it's going onto your skin. And whatever is on your skin, if you're putting fragrances, perfumes, all this stuff that has chemicals in it. I mean, if you're not a thorough ingredient reader, become one like today, because this will make a huge difference in your health, and it will compound. You'll notice over the course of a month, 2 months, if you're really diligent about what you're eating and what you're putting on your skin and the quality of water that you are consuming and bathing yourself in, you'll notice the difference. It will present itself within a few months of doing these changes. I would recommend that for a time, 30 days, maybe 60, maybe even 90, go vegan. I'm not saying you have to become a vegan. I'm saying eliminating animal byproducts and heavy foods from your diet will help detoxify your gut. The gut is where about 70 to 80% of your immune system is supported. So Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said all disease originates in the gut/colon. So most Americans are storing a ton of mucilage, which is like excess mucus, in the stomach. We all need mucus in our body, but in excess of it, just like probiotics, and we all have fungus, we all have mucus, we all have bacteria in our bodies. It should be at a healthy ratio. So if we're overweight, inflamed, eating lots of sugar, highly inflammatory foods, processed foods, just then we're going to contribute to more and more issues with our gut-brain connection. So I can't emphasize this enough. Intermittent fasting has helped me. This was a huge one for me. When I started, I could barely get through 24 hours on a water fast. I don't recommend starving yourself, and most Americans aren't in danger of starving. We think we're going to starve when we don't get food 3 times a day if we're eating all the time, But that's because we have a hormone in our body known as ghrelin, and ghrelin affects our brain, thinking that we are starving. That's why so many people that try yo-yo diets, they end up gaining more weight when they come off of it, because they're not eating real foods. Systems like Slim Fast or whatever that is, where they can eat burgers, eat whatever you want, just eat these portions that we send to you, and it's just garbage, genetically modified, chemical laden foods that are frozen and reheated. It's not real food. Stay away from packaged preservatives, plastic packaged crap. Really, like, go eat fruits and vegetables, organic. I can't state that enough. If you really want to get off of these drugs, you have to make some shifts, big shifts, and it's totally doable. And when you do this for a while, you do this for the 66 days, you won't want to go back. Believe it, it's going to be hard when you start. You're going to be like, this sucks. I can't do this. I just need to have some, like a cookie or whatever, a donut, or eat a bunch of garbage. But trust me, a lot of that, you know what that is? It's not just the medication. It's parasites in the stomach. And everyone has parasites in their gut biome. Everyone does. I do right now, and I'm super clean and healthy. But the thing is about parasites is, if it's not in that healthy proportion, that 85% healthy bacteria and whatever to 15% unhealthy, then you're going to be hurting. You're going to have irritable bowel syndrome. You're going to have constipation, diarrhea, leaky gut. And what leaky gut is basically the mucilage in the gut, which we all have. We have a thin layer of mucus that goes from our entire digestive system, from our mouth to our anus. It brings nutrition into the gut through these little hairs in our stomach wall called villi. And when we've been eating lots of crap like sugar, junk food, inflammatory foods, a standard American diet, sad diet, these little villi become waxed over by excessive mucilage in the gut. So our body's just full of heavy mucus, and there's lots of unwanted bacteria, an excess of unwanted bacteria, fungus, other types of parasites, even worms in some people. When I did my first juice cleanse, this stuff came out of me in my stool, and I thought I was healthy. I'd been juicing on and off here and there, but a serious deep cleanse of the gut will improve your mind so much. I can't even explain how much it will help you. I know it will, and I'm not a doctor, but I can assure you that if you can commit yourself to getting past those little critters in your stomach telling you that you need this shit, that you will make it through and you will feel so much better. An organic green juice cleanse. That's what you need. And, I've been doing this one cleanse that I have from Purium. It's a cool company that if you don't have access to greens and you don't want to juice all day, they'll just send you raw organic powdered greens with, healthy gluten-free grains, right, mixed all in, probiotics, everything, and it will do that for a month, 2 months. It'll clean your gut completely out. And there's another thing that they have called Biomedic, which removes glyphosate, the chemical found in Roundup that I just mentioned. There's clinical studies showing that it can remove it. It's a probiotic lactospore that removes all this excessive mucilage and heavy metals and glyphosate from your gut. The gut-brain connection is so huge, I can't even begin to explain to you how important that is. But fasting is also important. And when I say fasting, I'm not talking like 40 days and 40 nights out in the desert and see the burning bush like Jesus did. I'm not talking that extreme. I'm talking about intermittent fasting. What that means is you eat all of your food within an 8-hour window. If you can't do that, 10. But I'm saying 8 is ideal. Some people even do 6. I'm saying, for me, every day, I don't start eating anything other than water until 11 o'clock in the morning, and I'm done eating by 7 p.m. That's it. Just water after that. If I want anything else, you can have herbal teas, but nothing that's going to get your digestion going and start feeding you, because you have to give your gut a break. Most people never give their stomach a break. They're just eating all day and all night, and they're just snacking all the time and junk food. It's that's part of the anxiety that we're dealing with here, and that's huge. That's huge. The dietary component, the rest component, the journaling, the gratitude, sitting still with yourself. The other thing that really helped me, and this one's probably going to blow your mind even more, and it blew mine, but I did it and it helped me, was the Wim Hof method, and that involved breath work. And if you don't know who Wim Hof is, look him up. W-I-M, first name, second name, H-O-F. Look him up. It's about breath work. It's about getting into cold water. I know that sounds frightening, right? If you've never done it before. I loathed it, and I started it. I've taken cold showers in the winter now every day. And your body has the capacity for miracles. If you don't believe that, then keep taking Ativan and not try. But I believe in you, and I know that it can happen for you, because it happened for me. If I can do these things, so can you. There's a lot of other things I could express to you, but I'm going to keep this under a half an hour. A really nice woman named Crystal commented, and a woman named Teresa also have reached out to me, and they've inspired me to share this with you guys. A lot of people will say, I want this, but, and they're not willing to do whatever it takes. You have to be willing to do whatever it takes. Like anything in life, you have to be willing, coachable, and hungry for change. If you can do those things and you have that fire lit inside of yourself, there's nothing going to stop you. Are you going to have setbacks? Yes, you will. But are you going to succeed, and are you going to get off of benzodiazepines? Yes, you will. You can do it. I believe in you. And if you have any questions about this, please reach out to me. I'll offer you everything I know. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice here. I'm just telling you what works for me and what has worked for me. And now I'm a brain tumor survivor. I've had a clean scan for my brain tumor the last 4 years, I think. 3.5, 4 years, I haven't had any change in my brain tumor. Before that, I had to go through radiation, chemotherapy, all this other stuff. I'm a living, breathing miracle, you know? And it all starts with gratitude. I'm 44 years old. I was diagnosed when I was 37, and I'm just so grateful. And I'm recording this on Christmas Day of 2020. This has been the best year of my life. And if you'd like to know anything about what I have to share more, reach out to me. I'm always here to help people who are willing to help themselves. That's the key. You have to be willing to help yourself, though. I'm not here to feel sorry for you. I'm here to help you. So I love you. I care about you. Namaste. Have a beautiful day. God bless. And let's talk soon. All right, you guys. Take care. Peace.